welcome back to another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. We took a little uh, break there last week on Wednesday. I was on the IL with an injury, but we're back and happy 4th of July. And let me bring in my cohort, the best damn Phillies broadcaster that there is, Mr. Rich Baxter. Rich, how are you?
Doing great. Thank you very much, Gary. Welcome back. Glad to see you're feeling better. And as you said, it's the 4th of July celebration weekend, and I love the background this weekend. Love it.
Well, thank you, Rich. Just a little imaging, and I thought, and I have my Mets 4th of July hat from a few years back on tonight, and it's great to be back with you.
Yeah, 4th of July weekend, definitely a time marker in the baseball world. We only have about 2 weeks to go towards the All Star break. So, hey, this season's almost half in the bag already, believe it or not.
And where did the time go, Rich? It's just flying right by.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing. Did you happen to see the new hats for the 4th of July weekend? I happen to have them queued up here. I will
No,
bring
I
them up
did not.
on the screen. If you're watching on Facebook or our YouTube channel, you can see that. That's the official 4th of July cap collection there, if you're watching on the screen there. And Gary, I had read that they might wear them all weekend, but so far I haven't seen anybody wearing them yet.
Yeah, yeah. Oddly enough, I did see a minor league team. I was watching. I can't even think who it was now. Was it? I was watching one of the Mets teams, and I think the other team had on something that looked similar to that. And I thought, oh, it must be a 4th of July hat, and that was like Friday. Um, you would think that they would wear it all weekend to inspire sales of it, but I guess not. I don't know. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I imagine they'll probably be wearing them today. As we're recording the show here over the weekend, it's Sunday, July 3rd. So, the 3rd and the 4th would be great. Love to see it tonight. Happen to be going up to the game myself. So, yeah, it's very patriotic. There was a little controversy, though. Of course, some of the team, or you have one of the teams in Canada, and believe it or not, they made the same cap for the Canadian team,
Oh.
dressed with the American flag on it, and there it is on the bottom if you're watching. If you're watching the screen, so some people had some fun with that, um, being that they're from Canada, of course. But I guess what can you say? They're still in the MLB, so there's that cap for Toronto. Very
Yeah.
colorful.
It is very colorful, and yeah, it's not as bad as some of the designs. And no special uniforms, huh? This year?
No, no special uniforms that I know of. I know they have like special edition T-shirts, sort of along the same lines
Yeah.
as the caps, and apparently they're only selling them at the stadiums. At least the Phillies are, because I had some people on Twitter asking, where can they buy that stuff, and one of the
Oh.
responses was only at the stadium. So limited edition stuff there, and nice, nice for the holiday. I always love to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's interesting because I wonder why they're doing that. Usually the idea of putting out the caps and everything is to, you know, get extra sales and revenue. But if they're limiting it to the stadiums, that kind of cuts into that.
Yeah, it probably does, and they'll probably have them online maybe soon, but probably a limited edition run, so they didn't want to print that many, or maybe they didn't know how it would sell. But nonetheless, it's very colorful and collectible if you like that. I got the Armed Forces hat, but
Right.
I really don't think I'm going to splash out for this one.
Yeah. I don't, well, It depends upon. I have to see. It depends upon the price. I mean, I've got this one for my July the 4th, and
Yeah, that's
I've been
nice.
looking for the matching shirt, but I didn't see it this year in time. So
Uh huh. That's cool. I love that hat. Yeah, I have a Phillies one, same way, with the stars and stripes in the logo. But this past week, did you hear Rob Manfred, um, a guy after our own hearts a little bit? He wants to lift the blackout um, quota on MLB.TV. He wants to see it eliminated. I'm not
yeah,
sure if you heard that over the week.
I did. I did see that, and I think this is, years ago somebody predicted that you were going to pay for per game, or going to pay for the whole season. At that time, they thought it was going to be more like on a cable thing. That was before the whole streaming thing. But my guess is that they want to go to all streaming. I think, and have you pay per team. Uh, which is good in a way, because people in certain areas of the country, because of the blackouts and whatnot, cannot get a team that they may root for. So if there's no blackout restrictions, they'll be able to get that. They'll be able to stream it, and they'll be able to pay a certain price, as long as they don't. If they keep it reasonable,
Yeah.
you don't mind. We recently took the same thing that you did, Rich. We cut the cord,
Uh huh.
and we are streaming now completely everything that we watch. But we did get Hulu Live TV,
Uh huh.
because for us it was the best choice with the stations the wife likes and things like that. But
Yeah.
um, saving a little bit of money.
Yeah.
And I think luckily they have SNY on that, so I still get the Met games. But it is an interesting proposition, and I wonder how that would work then. If that affects teams moving at all closer, because right now one of the things was the TV market that would block. A team has a certain area, and they could block another team from coming in. And part of that was because of the TV market. I think, I wonder if that's gone, what that does to that territorial thing. And wondering if that's what they're setting up for the future. They're definitely setting up for an all streaming system, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the teams do profit from the broadcast locally of games. We've seen that in the billions in some markets with these teams. So it's going to be hard to separate the teams from that money if that's going to be affected at
Right.
all. But the prospect of watching a game like I have MLB.TV, and I'd like to tune in through that service when the Phillies are playing, but of course you can't. You have to, I'm in the local market, so I'm blacked out. And even though I'm a subscriber of the service, I get blacked out on those games. So um, if that were to change, that's a great thing, and we'll see. But another thing Manfred said was he wanted robo umps by 24. So he's going direct for some nice changes. I think that's one thing that I can deal with now, with the advent of the newer type technology that can call a proper ball and a strike.
I don't know. I think it kind of takes the human element out of the game then, and I think you have to have that. It just adds to it.
But some of these calls are, night after
Yes,
night. You see them, you shake your head, you hear the announcers, and plus now you got the gambling aspect. So you have, you know, an ump can control a game basically. If he calls an outside ball a strike or vice versa and rings up a guy in a tough situation, you could sway a game. So I don't know. I think we're at that point where the technology is there. They said they would do it like they do the pitch calm now, where the ump would hear a ball or strike very softly, and then he would just, call it. Basically, he would be the one to say what it is, of course. But I think the time has come for it. Really.
So then they might as well give the umpire a chair and a megaphone. He can sit. He doesn't even
Well,
have to be near home plate. He
they
can.
they still need they still need him. I mean, he would still be there. You got to call the base anyway, and you're looking for balks and things like that a computer probably would have a little problem with, or monitoring type thing like they would use for the balls and the strikes. But I don't know. You see some of these umpires, and night after night, they're inconsistent, and they're very inconsistent. And even if they try to level the playing field by calling balls and strikes wrong for the other team, then you got more balls and strikes being wrong. I just like to see a better accountability, and I think it's inevitable that we're going to see it.
I just think that it is part of the human process of the game and the human fail whatever human problems
Right.
come into play and as long as a guy is consistent, if he consistently calls a high strike, then the batter can adjust. And hitting's all about adjustments. And if you have to adjust to an umpire on a daily basis, then so be it. If you learn his idiosyncrasies, you know how he calls the game, and that's how you adjust. If everything is going to be, just so, then it could either turn into batting practice, or it could just be boring because you're not going to, what is he going to call on a tight pitch? Is he going to call it a strike? Is it halfway outside? You're gonna lose all of that, and you're just gonna have this. You're gonna have some guy standing behind there going, "Ball one, strike one."
It doesn't change though, in my opinion. Is it a ball or is it a strike? Is he calling? You'll see certain umpires, and I'll put this up on display for the listeners and the watchers. Actually, the watchers of the podcast on Facebook and YouTube. There's on Twitter now. They have different services that'll tell you how an umpire did on every specific game. And here's one from last night: the Yankees in Cleveland. Overall accuracy was 90%. Okay, called 150 of 166 pitches correctly. So that's pretty good in my eyes, even 90%. 93% overall consistency. Again, great, as you said, the human being. But look at these balls out here outside the strike zone. They were called strikes. And these were called strikes. So I mean you have you know these pitches, especially late in the game, sometimes you'll see an umpire ring somebody up and the ball's out of the strike zone. If it's truth, it shouldn't have been a strikeout. But for whatever reason, the ump saw it that way. So you'll hear it night after night, probably in the Mets broadcast, the Phillies, across the league, Dodgers. Um, I don't know. It's just the technology is there. Why not use it?
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like too much of them getting too much into the technology because then it opens up another whole can of worms.
Yeah.
What if somebody hacks into it? What happens? How can they call a swing? Is it just going to be balls and strikes? And where do we stop? Then again, I go back to my argument. Why don't you put sensors in the bag that lights up the bag or something when a foot hits it, so all the ump is got or makes a sound. So all the ump has to do then is watch the fielder, or vice
Yeah.
versa. Put sensors in the gloves. I mean, where do we stop? Where we take the human element completely out of the game. Laser beams down the line to tell foul balls and fair balls. Um, I mean, it could be crazy here, but I still like the human element of the game, and I mean, if they develop robots, are we gonna have DH robot DHs then? That
Yeah,
that
well, maybe
go up
you're
there
you're
to
getting
hit. That
futuristic,
well, it could be.
and you're
Who
giving
knows?
giving some good ideas. A little robotic DH. I think the teams would like that. They certainly would cost less maybe than a certain player, but
Well,
yeah,
I don't know. The maintenance might cost more.
yeah. One thing's for sure. Pitch clocks and the advent of robo umps, I think, is basically a done deal in this sport. They want to try to fix the accountability of the game, speed it along a little bit. I think even the batters would maybe welcome it. So, this is one of those things we'll have to keep a watch on. It seems to be working. They're testing it. Um, and I'm not for technology to replace the human element of the game at all, but some of these pitches are outrageous. You have certain umpires that are just, clueless on certain pitches, or they're calling whatever they want, and it's blatant.
Yeah, I mean, I agree there. I mean, you've got umpires that are just bad, like Angel Hernandez and CB Buckner, and I mean, they're just terrible umpires. And uh, the video does help with certain things. I don't know. There's something about this robot thing. Um,
Sends you the wrong way.
yeah, I saw it work, or supposedly it worked a couple of years ago. Remember they had that big thing. The guy from MLB Network was behind it. They did it in a minor league game, and it didn't. They claimed it worked out great and everything, but it just I don't know, the scenes that I saw, it just sometimes it took too long, and now that was a couple years ago. Maybe they've got faster processors and they can decide quicker, faster sensors, or however they do it. But how do they do it? How do they measure every batter if a guy's 6'6" and a guy's 5'6"? Uh, how are they going to tell that the strike zone changes? How do they adapt that? I mean, these are questions they have to ask.
Yeah.
Are there sensors in the home plate that tells whether it's inside or outside, or off the plate or over the plate? How is it going? Is it a box that they do? They use that box system? I mean, how does it work? This is all and that the pitch calling thing is terrific, but they have a lot of problems with it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on it, see what happens as time draws on. And again, we're talking the 24 season, which is what Manfred would like to see, but
Yeah.
that's at least 2 years away in the seasons of baseball. But we'll see. Maybe it'll be longer than that. But the home run derby is coming up, as well as, of course, the All Star game, and some of the home run derbies are decided last minute. It seems there's an article today at MLB.com, and a lot of people have been invited, but certain sluggers have been slow to respond. They may um, participate in that, and they may not. So, have you heard anything coming out of the Mets camp? Is Alonso going to partake in this?
No, I haven't heard, but my guess would be that he probably would. I mean, it doesn't seem to hurt his swing. A lot of players think it hurts their swing. He doesn't seem to think so, I guess, because he's won it twice now. So I don't, but I haven't heard anything whether or not he is, gonna go. And I think maybe because a lot of them are waiting to see about the All Star game, whether they make it or not. It's out in
Yeah.
L.A. this year,
Hmm.
so you might see some East Coast guys not want to make the trip and then have to travel back. Unless, especially for the home run derby, unless they're selected on the All Star team as well. So I think that's what we'll have to wait and see. And Phase One just completed, Rich. So we'll have to see, when the voting ends, what happens.
Yeah, very cool. They're saying Mike Trout's still on the fence. Whether he'll participate hasn't ruled it out, though. I know in the Phillies, Kyle Schwarber was asked, and he's sort of still on the fence as well, hasn't committed to it yet. And this is, about 14, 15 days away, so it's coming up
Yeah.
quick. And as you said, though, if they don't make the All Star game in some fashion, that they could have a couple days off at home with the family or whatever, and that might play into the part of some players as well, not wanting to, get back to work, so to speak, so fast, and spend some time with the family. But nonetheless, an interesting time, and as you said, it'll be in L.A. this year, the All Star game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's in L.A. and Rich, as he said before, the Phase One of the balloting is over. And the leading vote getters in each league have been named. The Yankees outfielder Aaron Judge in the American League and Braves outfielder Ronald Acuna Jr. in the National League has received a spot in the team's starting lineup. So those two guys are definitely in, and it's a free for all here. Some guys we had picked have made the finals. Other guys have not. But it's an interesting combination. If you're interested,
Yeah,
the
yeah, definitely.
finalists in the American League in the catcher is Alejandro Kirk of Toronto and Jose Trevino of New York. I know very little about both. The first baseman in the two finalists in the American League was Vladimir Guerrero of Toronto, who I believe you picked,
Yes.
and Ty France of Seattle, and I believe I picked them.
Ah, very
So
cool.
we've
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
um, those are the American League. First base, second base, Jose Altuve and Santiago Espanol from Toronto, who I know nothing about. I had picked Andres Jimenez of Cleveland, and I believe you picked Jose Altuve, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Third base is Jose Ramirez of Cleveland and Rafael Devers of Boston. Again, I think we each picked one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, nice showing for those players. And as you said, the final round gets underway, I believe, the 5th or so,
Yeah.
and runs a couple days. So make sure you stop by MLB.com, get your votes in for the final players for the All Star game for 2022.
And it's a complicated. Well, I guess it's not that complicated, but it is a in-depth system. Uh, then they have the pitchers and the reserves, and they'll be determined via a player ballot and by selections made by the commissioner's office. But some of the other names that are up are Bo Bichette and Tim Anderson and Mike Trout. George Springer, Giancarlo Stanton. In the National League, we got Travis d'Arnaud is still alive. Pete Alonso and Paul Goldschmidt are the two first basemen finalists. Ozzie Albies, Jazz Chisholm Jr. of Miami in there, and as a finalist, Manny Machado, Nolan Arenado. That's a tough choice there. At third, Trey Turner, Dansby Swanson, and Mookie Betts, Jock Peterson, Starling Marte, another Met, Adam Duvall, and Bryce Harper is one of the finalists for designated hitter, though he is out and will be out, and I wonder if that'll hurt the people from voting for him,
Yeah,
being that he's out. He's got a busted, fractured, what is it, thumb?
thumb. Yeah, yeah. He just had surgery the other day. Expected maybe to be back for September 1st, possibly. But yeah, tough break for him. He would have been a shoe in. He would have been there at the big game there in L.A. So we'll have to wait maybe another year to see Bryce Harper. Of course, getting hit by a Blake Snell errant pitch that ran way inside, and the Mets are familiar with those inside pitches.
Yes, yes, we are.
So
Only
yeah,
too much.
it was tough to see that. But let's roll through the standings. I don't want to keep you too long. You're back from the IL. So good here. We don't want to tire you out on the mound here, so to speak. Let's look at the standings here. I'll bring them up for our viewers. And how about those Yankees? They're out of control. 58 wins on the season so far, 21 losses. And this is the big number over here for me, the run differential at plus 164 right now over opponents that they're playing.
I'm not going to comment.
Amazing. I'm not a big fan either, but it is what it is. They're on the
I don't know
field.
how to doing it. I really don't. The pitchers, you never heard of half of them. Maybe that's why
Yeah,
nobody knows who these pitchers are, and they getting
yeah.
guys out.
The
We'll see
secret
next
weapon, so
year.
to
But
speak, quote unquote.
I don't want to see them win. Not another freaking Yankees in the World
Toronto
Series.
running up behind them. They're 9 games over 500, but 14 games back behind the Yankees. And Boston have picked it up lately. They weren't doing that great there for a while, but now they've seemed to turn around and almost caught up to Toronto, Tampa Bay, and they're still having a pretty good season as well. They're 15 and a half games back, but they're 42 and 36. So the laggard of the AL East is Baltimore, of course, and we expected that. They're way out of it. Over in the Central, it's Minnesota Twins still holding atop the AL Central with a 45 and 36 record. Cleveland, surprise, second place. I didn't see them for second place at this time in the year.
Yeah, Cleveland playing some good ball. They've got a good team. Look, they got a terrific manager. They got some good young players. The couple of guys they got from the Mets for Lindor are having big years. Jimenez and oh, I can't think of the other guy. Oh my goodness, the shortstop. But they're both having big years, and I'm sure
Yeah.
somebody will correct me or help me out here. But I
Well,
that's the medication.
let's dive into the roster. We don't want to not
Oh,
remember this because I don't know it. Let's go to the depth chart.
I
I'm not
cannot
familiar
remember.
with the Indians that much. Shortstop. There's your shortstops. Rosario.
Ahmed Rosario. Yes, that's who it is.
Okay,
Oh,
very
I'm
good.
almost embarrassed.
That's all right. I mean, we're National League guys, so we get a pass.
Yeah, that's right.
But
But they won National League guys, so that's what's embarrassing. and
out
they
in.
played for the Mets.
Uh,
But
you
I
get a
do
pass.
remember Andres Jimenez, who's having a big year, and moving. They moved him to second from shortstop. He came up to the Mets as a shortstop, and um, the Mets actually traded two shortstops for Lindor, but the Indians moved Jimenez to second, and he's having a real nice year for them. So,
Yeah,
congratulations to him. They always wonder whether he's hit. I think he's hitting over 300 and having a nice season. So, and Ahmed Rosario's having a good season as well.
that's awesome. And another team having a great season, and you can't count them out ever, it seems. The Houston Astros, an AL West, 50 wins, 27 losses, 8 and 2 in their last 10. They've been on a tear lately. And surprise, the Texas Rangers sitting in second place now all of a sudden, under 500 though.
I got to tell you that really surprised at Houston, but you know what? They are like the Atlanta Braves of the '90s was in the early 2000s. Winning every year, winning the division. They've got a good team, and I know people are still hung up on the whole cheating thing and all of that, but boy, you can't take it away from them how good they are.
Yeah, that's for sure. They're resilient. They don't seem to go away very easily. So Houston in control out there. And how about your New York Mets?
Well, we're struggling a little bit, Rich. To be honest, I mean, they're basically playing like 500 ball now. Struggling a little bit. The injuries have mounted. We lost another starting pitching to the COVID, apparently IL or whatever they call it, the COVID list. So, we're still waiting. Max Scherzer is supposed to come back Tuesday or Wednesday, I think, of this
Mm-hmm.
week. But still, we're still missing Degrom. Still missing. Now we're missing Bassett. That's the top three pitches. McGill, who was a opening day starter, he's missing until August. So if they can hang in there and stay either in first or close to first, they'll have an influx of arms coming back and they'll have well rested pitches. The positive thing is if they make the playoffs, their starting staff, if it stays healthy, will be well rested because these guys haven't pitched all year and they're going to come back from injuries. And if they're, somewhat sharp and they'll have an advantage there with pitching, starting pitching, because they'll be more or less healthy and they'll be well rested. So that's the thing is they've got to hit and um, Houston did a number on them. Houston beat them four straight, I think, two in Houston and two at home, and they didn't, just didn't look good against Houston at all. And now Texas beat them last night, but we'll see. It's a long season still, and you never know who's going to trade what at the break and what happens with that trade. So
Yeah, and
um,
Houston was actually coming off playing the Yankees when they went across into City Field and playing the Mets. So they were playing a high level game coming into that series.
right,
So
right.
Atlanta Braves pouring it on of late, 7-3 in their last 10, winners of their last two, 46 and 33. Phillies, eh, they seesaw above 500. They're 3 games up over 500 right now. And Miami hanging tough. They're not out of it yet. Washington, of course, equivalent with the Orioles. They're
Yeah.
not doing well at all. 20 games back. They are out of it, I would have to say, for this year.
And Rich, the thing that really helped Atlanta get back in this race is that they went 13-0 or whatever it was, 14-0.
Hmm.
Uh, and the Mets were going 6-4. So, the Mets weren't playing bad. It's just that they were playing so much. They won so many in a row that cut into the lead. And had they matched the Mets record at the time, we'd still be looking at a 6-7 game lead.
Yeah.
Uh, but because they went on, they had that long winning streak. Um, it really cut into the Mets' lead, and again, as I said, it wasn't that the Mets were playing awful, but they were playing, like 6-4, 5-5, and Atlanta was going 12-0 and 13-0. So,
Yeah.
no excuses, but it's just the way it goes, and uh, this is going to be a tough race, and
Yeah.
we knew that from the beginning. So.
And if the Phillies can somehow, they're going to need a pitcher, though. They're definitely going to need to make a move by the trade deadline or before. I would be making a move right now if I was in charge of the Phillies, because they're close this year, and that one
Hmm.
extra pitcher is going to put them up into the playoffs this year if they get them, if they go out and get them. But we'll see with them. And
And we have
moving,
the extra wild card too. So.
yeah, moving over to the Central, NL Central, it's Milwaukee Brewers, 10 games over 500, and they're um, Phillies, by the way, are playing the second place St. Louis Cardinals. They've been seesawing from first place to
Right.
second place in the NL Central, so they're definitely in a battle. And Cubbies sort of out of it here, 32 and 46, same record for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And of course, we know Cincinnati's woes already.
Hmm. And they're going to be the Cinderella team, or the at the All Star break, and coming in to the trading deadline, because everybody's going to want their pitches. They've got a couple of young pitchers. They've got some good outfielders. So Cinderella is probably not the right term. Uh, but they're gonna be
The
the girl at the
surprise team.
prom that
Yeah,
everybody wants to dance with come the trading deadline.
very cool. So, rounding out the NL West, of course, the Dodgers with a comfortable lead out there, 49 and 28. And this is really the halfway point of the season for a lot of teams. This weekend is sort of the official 81 games are, most of the teams are going to be that by July 4th. So a lot of people say the All-Star break is the first half, but we're seeing it right this weekend, to be honest with you. San Diego, second place. They're 46 and 34, 4.5 games back. And the Giants, 4 games over 500, still hanging in there.
I think that's going to be a dogfight division too. I think the National League's going to have some nice races going. They're all tightening up. As you said, the Central, the Milwaukee and St. Louis is seesawing back and forth. I don't expect anybody else in that division to come up. The Mets, Atlanta, and Philly fighting it in the East, and the West. I think the Dodgers and San Diego are going to go back and forth, and the Giants could sneak in there too. They won last year's division, so it could be an interesting second half of the season.
Very cool. And go out there this July 4th weekend and celebrate, have fun. Lord knows we've needed it in the past couple years with the COVID seasons, and now we're sort of trying to get away from that for now. And fireworks, apple pie, hot dogs, the whole 9 yards. Go out and make it a great weekend. And Gary, it's great to see you back on the program, and missed you on the program. You know, we've been doing this for a long time now, so
That's
when you
right.
don't do a show, it's sort of like, oh, like a flat tire.
Well, thank you for that, Rich. It's great to be back, and I'm feeling better. I do have some issues with my leg. It's nothing that serious, but we'll take care of it and be ready to go in time for the playoffs.
Very good. Well, thank you for our Facebook listeners and our YouTube gang as well. Please hit the subscribe, like button, share us with your friends. We need a lot more listeners, to be honest with you. And don't forget, send us a line. We haven't heard from many people this season. In previous seasons, we've heard from a lot of people out there, and we trust they're still out there watching. But drop us a line, Gary at baseballtalkradio.com or Rich at baseballtalkradio.com. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know how your summer's going, how your baseball watching's going along there, and thanks for listening. So we'll disconnect from the live stream of Facebook now. Thanks again. And Gary, you have a wonderful holiday, you and your family, and hopefully everything goes well for your Mets as well.
Well, thank you, Rich, and good luck to the Phillies tonight. And we'll see you next time on another episode of the Baseball Talk Radio Show.
Take care, everyone.